Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us here today for Keystone Clicks Research and Strategy webinar mini series. You've got two hosts here that are kind of doing a first timer as a duo. I'm Will Jurgensen, the Director of Client Experience, and with me is Keegan Gallup. Keegan, how the heck are you?
I'm doing good, Will. It's an honor to be doing one of these webinars with you finally.
They have just really given us a lot of trust here, Keegan, by taking by
Maybe
letting
too
us.
much, but no,
Maybe
we're
too
ready.
much.
We're excited to share it with you about some digital competitive research stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And that is the topic. So we are discussing digital competitive research. And so without any further ado, let's take a quick look at today's agenda. First and foremost, what is digital competitive research analysis? Why the heck would we consider it to be important? What are the important components to conducting competitive research? Some tools for getting started. As you can imagine, we're not going to reveal all of our secrets, but we certainly want to make sure that you find some value in today's webinar, and therefore we'll certainly give you some sneak peeks. And then lastly, we're going to open it up for some questions that you may have. Before we get started though, Keegan, can you talk to us a little bit about how they can take action?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have this awesome offer for you guys. At any point during the webinar, just take a screenshot of the screen, something that you'll use, and then post it on social media. Tag us. We're at Keystone Click across all platforms, and tell us why and how this screen that you screenshotted is going to benefit you and your business. And at the end, we're going to pick one winner, and that winner will win a book, Ad Agency Owners, Secrets of Ad Agency Owners, the biggest marketing mistake I've ever seen. And I don't know, Will, have you had a chance to read it yet? But there's some good stuff in this book. So you're definitely going to want a copy.
Yeah, I joked in a previous webinar that it's a requirement when you become an employee of Keystone Click, because Lori, she's a contributor to the book, and
Yep,
therefore
absolutely.
she is also an excellent teacher. And therefore, yeah, I say it's, I jokingly said that it is required before day one to have this book already under your belt. So a great offer there. We certainly hope to hear from some of you on today's webinar. But without any further ado, let's get right into the meat of why you are here today. What is digital competitive research? And Keegan, you going to start us out?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm sure a lot of you are actually wondering, what is competitive research? So, it's kind of our step-by-step process. We identify, 3 to 5 of your competitors, and most likely you'll have an idea of who your competitors are in your industry. And if not, they're a quick Google search away. You can easily find some competitors. And then kind of where they're showing up online. So we specifically look, at Google. This is also, do they have YouTube videos? What kind of social media platforms do they have? And, really where are they showing up online and how are people finding them? And then in addition to that, what are people saying about your competitors? So this is where we look at reviews, Google reviews. There's tons of third-party review sites. And really, what kind of rankings are your competitors getting from people? Next, we look at what type of content are they publishing and how are people engaging with that? This is a really important part of the digital competitive research because this is where a lot of people's strategies come into place, thought leadership. What kind of blogs are people publishing? What are people pushing on their social medias? Then we look at how are they showing up in search engines. So I mentioned it a little bit before, but this is really, where are people ranking in Google? Where are people ranking in Bing? The big search engines. So this really has a lot to do with SEO and especially keywords. So that kind of brings us to paid ads. What kind of paid ads are your competitors investing in? What kind of keywords are they buying to make sure that they rank higher up in Google? And so that's really what we call a digital competitive research. That's pretty much every aspect of it.
For sure. And what, it's interesting because it's been in the news, not so much in the last few weeks, but certainly over the course of the last year, this concept of your competitors buying, keywords and even bidding against your own business's name. So you'll see that a number of times. You go to a search engine, you type in a business, and then an ad pops up for their competitor. So it's important to make sure, that you are not getting bid against your business's name and things like that. So certainly an important component to the competitive research. Where are they showing up online? Just to add a little bit to everything that Keegan has said, another great place that you should be evaluating is, news articles or who is advocating for them online and why, how are they getting those advocates in their corner? Because that's incredibly important to understand, as you're evaluating how potential customers and buyers or users are viewing them online. So yeah, really
Absolutely.
great job. So the what brings us to the why, right? So why is digital competitive research important? As you can imagine, it's going to give you an opportunity to learn about your own strengths and weaknesses. So it isn't so much about worrying, what about your competitors, but rather using your competition to learn about yourself. I don't think people often view it that way, but that's certainly the way in which we communicate to our clients about how to view, doing competitive research. Highlights areas of improvements, right? So which parts of your digital strategy need improvement? This is going to give you an idea of what the industry looks like, what competitors are doing, and then ultimately, again, highlight those weaknesses and the areas in which you need to improve. Industry norm, right? So, conducting a competitive, conducting a competitive analysis. This is my first time in the driver's seat, Keegan. So, for you at home, please bear with me a little bit here. I'm figuring out all the buttons and how it's working. Usually I just sit back, kind of like how Keegan is today.
You do it, yeah.
And
exactly
Lori's flipping the buttons from page to page, and it's a much easier life there. So definitely getting a new appreciation for all of the hard work Lori puts in. Industry norm though, right? So conducting a competitive analysis, it ultimately is going to provide you with a benchmark for your digital presence compared to the rest of your industry. And furthermore, you will come to a better understanding of what your ideal customer is seeing from competitors. And that's going to provide you with insight to their expectations, right? So we're looking at that customer expectations, because at the end of the day, if your competitor is incredibly active online and they're providing great insight and sending, monthly newsletters, and pointing paid ads at your customers, then that kind of becomes the expectation of your customers. And so if they're not also seeing that from you, or at least seeing you try and put that effort in, more often than not, they're going to pick, the competitor that's staying in front of them.
Yep, absolutely. If I can just jump in here quick.
Please do.
If you really want it, like a basic understanding of why is competitive research important, it is to help you compete in the industry that you're in. It's to make your company the best that you can be. So really it's, it's knowing where you, like Will said, where your strengths and weaknesses are compared to competitors.
Absolutely. So just another little high level, researching of both yourself and the competition. You're looking for opportunities for website improvements. You're conducting a website analysis. We're providing you a little look at some tools that we use. As you can imagine, Google Analytics is a free service. If you don't have Google Analytics on your own website to at least see how people are performing and behaving on your own site, you're already setting yourself up for disappointment to a slight degree there. So we're going to dive much deeper into, website improvements and conducting website analysis. And that brings us to the components of a digital competitive research. So what we've put together here is actually a fake business, although Keegan, I think we both agree that at some point
I think we're going to strike a gold mine here.
Yeah. There's no question, right? And so we've created Keystone's Pizzeria. So Keystone Pizza, it's delicious. It's just absolutely outstanding.
The best pizza you've ever had.
It's the best pizza you've never had.
Exactly.
And probably never will have. But this is ultimately where we want to kind of put, our what is competitive research in motion and actually show you an example of how we identify, 3 to 5 competitors. We take a look at where they're showing up online. We take a look at some of these reviews and what people are saying about them online. the type of content that they're publishing, how people are engaging with it, so specifically with, social media, how ours ranks compared to our competitors. Search engines, we're going to take a look at the Google Knowledge Panel. And then, as you can imagine, without being a real business, it was a little bit harder for us to compare, our competitors' paid advertising. But we just want to make sure that is top of mind for everyone that's viewing at home, because paid advertising has become, especially digital paid advertising, as people in today's world are spending so much more time online. We've certainly seen the amount of money invested in paid advertising increase drastically. So without diving too much on just this initial slide, Keegan, why don't you talk to us a little bit about our first component here of the web audit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing we do is we do a web audit of each of the 3 to 5 competitors that we identify. So this is really where we do a deep dive into each of the competitors' websites. So we start looking at things like their H1 tags, their title tags, but then we also do other things, which we'll get to eventually, where we talk about their homepage and how their user experience works. Because one of the things with digital competitive research is you want to see what good things you can add to your website, what things you want to avoid. So Will, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the technical aspects of that?
Yeah, without question. And as you can imagine, you might be sitting there at home saying, okay, how the heck am I supposed to get this information? There certainly are resources out there. And it would definitely be, worth having that conversation with a member of our team here at Keystone Click to learn a little bit more about them. But as you can see, we have outlined our 4 competitors of Keystone Pizzeria, those being actual businesses and real pizza producers. So Papa Murphy's, Toppers, Blaze, and Papa John's. We did not go into detail and actually complete this information, but we want to give you an idea of the type of things that we're looking at from our competitors. So, that homepage title tag, homepage description tag, these are 2, very important first impressions that you are making with your potential customer or client. And ultimately, we want to understand what type of language and keywords and key phrases our competitors are using. And we're doing it for 2 reasons. We're using it to compare it to our own. How do we rank up against them? Or we're looking for areas to kind of stand out, right? Okay, all 4 of these competitors mentioned pizza and being the best and quick and easy. What's an avenue that we can take that's going to differentiate ourselves, whether it's from our title tag or kind of that homepage description tag, which is, really that 1 to 2 sentence billboard that you get to present to your site visitors, or even on search engines as well. How can we, in comparison to our competitors, kind of set ourselves apart here a little bit? Homepage tags, H1, H2, H3, H4, H5. That is certainly much more technical analysis of your competitors, and again requires resources in order to come up with that information. But really, what we're looking for there is, the best way to think about homepage tags is kind of like a research paper, right? So, your H1 tag is kind of your top dog. That's what your paper is all about. And then you have all of your supporting articles under that. So we get to look a little bit at the skeleton of the website and how it's structured, and content how they are publishing that content, which then ultimately takes us to their primary keyword. I think I always found this super interesting, that it's a part of our competitive research, but we're looking at what word is used the most on their website, right? And it's so interesting when you actually take the time to get those results and take a look at what your competitors consider to be their primary word, and then how you can use that to your advantage to make sure that your primary word is a very targeted keyword and is ultimately optimizing your website. Everything
Absolutely.
else, go ahead.
Can I jump in for a second?
Please
and
do.
I mean, a lot of this, the H1 tags, and especially the primary keyword, are key for SEO. So a lot of this is focusing on SEO, which ends up, you can view one of our past webinars about SEO, but really helps people show up in Google, how people find these companies when they're searching for, Milwaukee's best pizza.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a number of clients that come to us and say, okay, I'm getting outranked by my competitors. How do I want to start ranking better than them? And trust me, even if we have competitors on this webinar, they would say the same exact thing. If there was some magic switch that we could just flip on that just makes you outrank your competitors, I mean, oh boy, we'd be doing very well.
Yeah.
But it's a process and it's a puzzle, and there are a lot of pieces that are incorporated into that. And so, as we move through the rest of our technical audit here, a lot of it is, information that's on the back end that, a site user or visitor or potential customer or client, they're not interested in any of this stuff, but it ultimately are pieces of the pie, pieces of the pizza pie, if you will, to make it relevant, that really make everything whole. So these are, again, things that we're looking at and comparing and contrasting compared to ourselves. And then the last one I'll highlight there is, is backlinks, an incredibly powerful way to build your organic SEO, and certainly something that I know we've also talked about in previous webinars. So any additional questions, this would be a great time to maybe take a screenshot of one of those slides and reach out to us here at Keystone Click. And, we'd love to conduct an audit of a free website audit of your website and give you an opportunity to see how you're performing currently today in order to understand, what might be the best ways to move forward. So let's actually take one of our competitors, Keegan, and kind of walk additionally a little bit further through this. So you decided to go with Papa Murphy's. So we're going to take
Absolutely. That's what we're doing.
as our
So
competitor number one. And there you go. Take us away.
yeah, so I kind of mentioned it before, but this is part of the web audit that we do, where we really dive into your competitor's website. So what we initially do is we just look at the homepage. We look at the call to actions. You see the click to enter there to win a backyard grilling oasis. So we really, this is what we look at. And then from this, we go into all the other places on the site that you can go to, all the pages we cover. And what we end up with is kind of a list of just some general website takeaways for you. So here are just a couple key things that we focus on. We focus on the target of the website. So for Papa Murphy's, in this case, it's, people looking for take and bake pizza, but then it's also twofold. They're also looking to target prospective franchise owners and give those people lots of information. We also do a really good analysis of call to actions, which are, dare I say, the most important part of a website. This is where you're going to get people in, and this is where you can start making sales or, connecting with people, whatever your call to action might be for that site. So we look at the buttons, we look at if they're good, if they're bad, if they're hidden. And so really, we find things that you want to incorporate on your website, but also, things that maybe you don't like about the website. Take like Papa Murphy's, for example. Their navigation, if you click on some of the tabs, they go to what I call other microsites. So that would be something that you'd want to avoid. You don't want to have open like 6 tabs when you're clicking through this website. And then the last thing we really look at is the blog and how often people are blogging, and what type of content that they're posting. So after we do that for all 3 to 5 of the competitors. We also take a look at how they show up in Google.
Give me just a sec, Keegan. I'm going to flip to that slide in a moment, but I do think this is a really important thing just to remind everyone of the targets, right? And who is it that your competitors are actually trying to get their message across to? Because I think what you will find, and may surprise you, and what we certainly have found, is that sometimes people who you think are your competitors aren't actually your competitors. They're targeting a completely different industry, or maybe a different component within an industry, or a very specific business or clientele that on the surface it looks like they're your competitor. But you should be doing this not just on your website analysis, but also across all competitive research, and trying to understand who is it that they're targeting. And if you get to reach the conclusion that, oh, yep, no, that's the exact same person I'm targeting, then, look, you kind of prioritize them as a little bit of a higher competitor than someone where you say, you know what, actually they're targeting kind of a different demographic than I.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is something that you can be doing continuously as well. You can always
For
add
sure.
to your list.
Absolutely.
So like Will was saying, we also want to take a look at how they show up in Google, how your competitors show up in Google. A couple things that we really focus on. The big one is the Google Knowledge Panel. Does your competitor have a Google Knowledge Panel? And if you don't know what a Google Knowledge Panel is, it's really information that you give to Google. It's location services. It's the hours you're open. It's your social media accounts. It's descriptions of your company. It's really all these things. They also pull some reviews. Before we get into reviews, we do take a look at third-party reviews as well. In this example, we're selling pizza, right? So there's going to be Yelp reviews. There's going to be other food place reviews. And then the last thing we look at is the internal pages. So this is just what you would see, the bottom left here, if you searched for Papa Murphy's Pizza. And we take a look at what the internal pages say. So Our Pizza, Papa Murphy's, Northland, and then from those, you can kind of gauge what your competitors think the most important things are on their website.
You ready?
Yep. And then we really do a deep dive into reviews. So this is also part of the Google Knowledge Panel. And like I said, there are third-party reviews as well. But this, this is what people see when they search for your company. And these are the reviews that people are giving. So these are also very important.
Yeah, not only that, but I mean, you can find ways to, you can find new content, or you can find new blog posts by reading reviews. If you find, that a competitor of yours consistently is having issues with a certain, let's say specifically for Papa Murphy's. I mean, obviously this first one says that they have a lot of turnover. Oh, this location has a lot of turnover. But, look for opportunities to create new content, and to make yourself kind of stand above where your competitors are lacking, and to hear it directly from the clients themselves, the customers themselves. I mean, there really isn't anything more powerful than that.
Yeah, super important. Yeah, so like I said, we do that for all the competitors that we identify. And really, before I get into the social media audit, I'm going to say one more time, take a screenshot of something and post it on social media at Keystone Click, and then just let us know like how this is going to help you or your business, and you could win a free book. So we're going to get into the social media audit a little bit. Before we do that, I just want to explain that the social media audit, I believe, is a vital part of the competitive research. It's vital because a lot of companies, their strategies revolve around, hooking people through their social medias. This is how they bring people in. This is how they get new customers. This is how they can find new people when people retweet or repost something. And so we look at what kind of content the people are posting, your competitors are posting, and make sure that you're doing the same. So, Will, if you want to go to the next slide.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate exactly what you're saying here, Keegan. But conducting a competitive analysis on your competitors' website and social media is ultimately going to provide you with a much more comprehensive insight into them. And much like Keegan said, social media analysis helps you understand how active your competitors are on different channels and how they use them to reach their current or prospective clients. And then that's going to give you the insight and the opportunities to just outdo them.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's an example of like what we put together when we do a social media audit. we really look at what I call like the big 5 social media accounts. So think, your LinkedIn, your YouTube, your Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And then from there, we look at, does your competitor have one of these accounts? And if they have an account, how many followers do they have? And then from there, how often are they posting? Are they posting, super often? Are they posting a couple times a day, a couple times a week, or are they posting, once a month? And then from there, we even look further about what kind of content they're posting about. Are they just reposting their blogs? Are they posting funny stuff about, stuff that's going on in the world right now? And really, we look at how their clientele engages with those kinds of posts. From there, we learn a lot of stuff. We learn how we can grow our following, how often we should be posting, and what kind of content we should be posting.
Yeah. So, I mean, on the surface, it's just one slide, and you get, if you put a little bit of time in to put a slide like this together, the amount of insight that you're going to get out of that and the areas for improvement and analysis of your competitors is really great. So would highly encourage you to do it. And look, at the end of the day, if you need support, that's what we are here for. And a part of that then takes us on to what, right? So what tools are you going to need to conduct your digital competitive research? As you can imagine, a number of tools are hard to speak about, if you will, during a webinar, but we certainly have a good idea of some good places to get started. One thing that we're going to highlight right away is SpyFu. SpyFu ultimately is, a paid website. The amount of insight that you get on SpyFu is just incredible. As we're looking here, we put in Pizza Hut, right? And so the insight we're going to get here that we're going to look at right away is, how many, the estimated monthly SEO clicks that Pizza Hut is getting from the search engines. I mean, 18.4 million, as you can imagine, that totally makes sense, especially during the bring my food to me phase that everyone is in. But what we like to highlight and what we're looking at, maybe more than anything else is, a combination of those organic keywords compared to the paid keywords. And then, you get a good idea on what, these paid keywords are costing them as well. So Keegan, what are some areas that you would continue to highlight within the results that SpyFu provides us?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the top keywords are huge because we're talking SEO here. So we're talking how they show up in Google. It's really interesting, actually, seeing the paid keywords for Pizza Hut because they are focused on finding people who want to work for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they bring people in. But when you think about their organic search, the words are Hut Pizza, pizza near me. So these are people looking, like you said, to buy pizza. So it really gives you some good insight into the strategy that Pizza Hut has and that your competitors have when they're doing SEO for their website and for their content, and when they are, buying paid keywords that they're trying to ultimately get in front of directly the correct people.
I have a feeling, Keegan, that we should title our pizzas at Keystone Pizzeria, and we should name one of them Pizza Near Me. It's just a cheese pizza that's near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe not.
A lot of people like different pizzas though. So I'm thinking like that could also be a pepperoni pizza or veggie pizza.
Yeah, I agree. Let's continue this conversation.
We've got some work to do.
No question.
Right.
So moving on.
All right. Yeah. So another tool that we use, and this is kind of, again, we're looking at paid ads here. So the Facebook ad library, it's a website that you can go to. It's right there, facebook.com/ads/library. And you basically, all you have to do is type in a Facebook account or, a business, and they pop up with all the ads that the company has published on Facebook and Instagram. And I also believe they do Messenger if they have any ads there as well. So this is a really powerful tool. So again, you can see exactly what the content is that these people are paying for to get in front of people. And then another one, again, we're talking paid ads here. This is LinkedIn ads. As you can imagine, Papa Murphy's doesn't really buy any ads on LinkedIn because that's not where their target audience is. So here you can see their ads to show you right now. But how you do this, you just log into your LinkedIn account, you search a company, what we did, obviously, Papa Murphy's, and then on the left hand of the search panel, you just scroll to ads, you click the ads button, and you can see all the ads that they have ever paid for and that they're running. So again, I'm going to say it again. It's really important to see what these companies can be paying a lot of money for to get in front of certain people.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question. And again, there are a number of phenomenal tools and resources out there that are at your fingertips, as well as, what we can provide here at Keystone Click. So by all means, if you have any additional questions on great tools that you can be using in order to conduct your own competitive research analysis, please let us know, or again, begin your own search online. Keegan, heck of a job today. Really awesome that we were able to take the reins for a change here. We do want to remind people of what is to be. So the Research and Strategy webinar mini series continues. And on August 6th, we are going to be highlighting keywords. That's why we didn't spend much time on keywords today specifically. It is an incredibly important component to competitive research, but it's also just so important for yourself and your business as well. And we wanted to make sure that we gave it the time that it deserved and dedicated an entire webinar to that. So be sure to sign up for that one on August 6th. Following the keyword webinar mini series, we are going to highlight content strategy. And then on September 10th, measuring marketing goals. If you have anything specific that you want to hear about, please let us know. We'd love to make sure that we are answering the questions of everyone that is out there and highlighting good resources and tools for how to make your business better.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more time before we get to the Q&A, take a screenshot, post on social media, tag us, and you have a chance to win a free book.
Absolutely. Very cool. So with that being said, Keegan, thanks so much. Anything we can do to help, we are here for that. Visit keystoneclick.com/profits to receive your free Guide to Profits book. And at this point in time, we are going to open it up to some Q&A.